Hey guys, John here. Today we're going to be making the Sandstorm lead from Derude in Toxic Biohazard. I think you get the idea. So this patch necessarily isn't only just for Sandstorm. It's actually quite popular, and the ingredients to make this one aren't too difficult. So let's get started here. On the channel itself, I have a little bit of distortion and EQ. So let's turn those off and see what that sounds like. So it's close. It has the characteristics for sure. Now with those off, let's dive into the patch itself. So for this, I'm going to be using two voices of unison, and they're kind of spread about 70% and the detunes at 20, so I believe standard for the detune as well. The master envelope is attack 0, decay, and sustain all the way up, and release 0, so basically the default that it comes with. And this drive here is going to be at 20%. This one's very important to keep up here because this drive here in Toxic Biohazard is quite nice. Now, the main ingredients for this synth as well is going to be a saw wave and a square wave. So we have 4 of them going on here. So let's turn off these last 2 here and look at these first 2. This is going to be mainly the meat and potatoes of this patch. So the saw wave is going to be down 19 semitones, and then the square wave is going to be just default. And they're both going to be in free running mode, and that's very important because if they're not, it's going to sound weird if we turn those off. So always make sure the free running mode for these oscillators are always on. Then really the tricky part is mixing these two. So for the first oscillator, the saw wave that's down 19, I have that 100% in the mix. And then the square wave, I have it about 88% or 88, whatever that is right there. And that's really the delicate part, is mixing these two. Because you want the top end of the square wave to be present but not overtaking. So if we turn off the main saw right here and just listen to the square, that's kind of the main tonality, and then you get the aggressiveness from the saw wave. And then I also added some other stuff as well here. You don't necessarily have to, but I wanted to add another saw wave and another saw wave, one down an octave and one just at the regular pitch, so the same pitch as the square. So let's add the next one in. It adds a little bit of tone to it, and I also snuck it in maybe 50% in the mix here. And then for the fourth oscillator, it's down 1 octave and it's 70% in the mix. It kind of fills out a little bit of that low end there. And for this one, we're not going to be using the filter, so you can see that's off as well. We're not using any of the chorus, but we are using a little bit of delay. And this is more so just to kind of fill the space a little bit. There's really 2 main effects for this. It's going to be the delay, also some reverb I have here on the channel. So let's turn that off as well and turn the delay off, and let's see kind of what we got so far. So it sounds right, just the core sound of it sounds correct, but it needs a little bit of breathing room and some effects to kind of open it up and put it somewhere. And that's where the delay helps out at first. So it's at 2/16. Let's turn this on here. So it's opening it up just a little bit. Our time is going to be 49, which I guess doesn't necessarily matter because we have the sync on. And then the feedback, 29%, the rate, 24%, the depth, 20%, blur, 50%, and the mix is quite low at 15%. And then the very last thing you really want to put in there is this reverb here. I have Valhalla, as always, as you're probably aware of. I have it on a gated type of reverb, and with that on, it sounds much better. And the last final touches are going to be the distortion, which is very important for this patch. As you see, I have here this drive at 20%. I have the ones on the channel off, so let's take a listen without this distortion. So remember, 20%. Now let's increase the distortion. And then next we're going to add some more distortion to that, which is going to be the Fruity Blood Overdrive. So listen to the difference of that off and on. Gives a little bit more characteristic. And then I also brought in the EQ as well here. When it's turning this on, it's going to cut a little of the unnecessary low end, cut a little bit of that mud here around about 200, 300-ish area, and boost a little bit of the highs. Because with this patch, you don't necessarily need a lot of low end because, as you can see here, you can also add some bass as well, so which I added here as well, which is just doing this. So that's really going to be carrying the low end for that. And then all together, and as always, this patch in Toxic Biohazard is free for download in the video description below. I wouldn't suggest to put some external reverb on it and maybe some extra distortion and EQ it to your liking, but that's basically the recipe for this type of sound, which is perfect for Sandstorm, but it's also very popular in a lot of other songs as well. So hopefully you learned something, and we'll see you in the next video.